Anyway, I've been babbling a lot about process, and maybe now is a good time for you to ask questions. I'm sort of hoping you have questions, because if not, I will feel kind of silly.
How is it like to write a book?
Sorry?
How is it like to write a book?
The thing that's really nice about it, this book took 7 years. So what's nice is that you have the story and you have the characters in your head. And it's a little bit like being crazy, because you have these people that talk to you in your head. But it's also, you never get lonely, because even when you're just sitting around by yourself, you're thinking about your story, and you ask yourself a question and think about what the character might do. So it's actually really nice, because you have this good feeling of living in this little world, and you're the only one who knows about it. And then the closer you get to finishing, you start to give it to people to read, and the book moves away from you toward the readers. And then the characters get kind of quiet, and then you know you're done. But it's kind of a sad feeling when you let go. I mean, people are like, oh my God, how could you do something for 7 years? But it's actually hard to stop. And it's also hard to begin, because you feel kind of like there's nobody in your head, and you feel kind of alone.
Okay, nice.
Thanks. Yeah.
When did you decide to become an author?
About 12 years ago. I'm trained as an artist.
Okay.
And went to art school, and I still sometimes do, but what I mainly used to do was make books by hand. So I would make all the pictures and set type by hand and bind the books. And when I was done, I would end up with 10 copies. So I started writing my first book because I had this idea about this time-traveling guy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to work in pictures. It's really hard in pictures to tell how a guy moves in and out of time. And I thought, well, it'd be easier with words.
Yeah.
So I thought I would try that.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you wrote the book, did you write it every day or a little bit on the week? How did you write it?
That's a nice question. Did everybody hear her?
Yeah.
She was asking about how I wrote the book. Like, did I write every day? Yeah. I'm sort of bad. I don't get up every morning and write like a job. I spend a lot of time avoiding writing and procrastinating. And I mean, my house is so clean because I'm like, let's do the laundry, let's clean the kitchen, anything to avoid actually sitting down and writing. But eventually, I get excited about some idea that I've had, and the house is really clean, and so then I have to work. The other thing that's really good is deadlines. I mean, it's nice to be in school because there's someone to give you deadlines. And so in the real world, editors perform that function of, saying, hey, we think you should turn it in on this date, and looking at you fiercely if you don't. But yeah, no, I'm chaos, and I have bad work habits, and that's why it takes me 7 years.
Well, did you just say that you hate to write, but you did it for 7 years?
Well, the problem is that what you don't want to do is sit at the desk.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you sit there and you look at the screen, and then you're forced to realize that you're stupid, and you just don't know. And then after a while you think, well, maybe this will happen, and so you type it, and you're like, nope, delete. And so there's always this period where you're kind of trying to get comfortable, and it happens every day. Ernest Hemingway used to do this thing where he would get up in the morning and he would write until lunchtime. Ernest Hemingway. He's an American author who died about, 50 years ago. Probably the most famous book he wrote is called A Farewell to Arms. Anyway, he was kind of macho, and
Nice.
Very, yeah, kind of crabby as well, but very famous American author, famous in America. Anyway, the thing he would do is he would never write everything he knew. He would go up to a certain point and he would still have some more things to write, but he would stop, and then the next day he would have something that he knew already. And I've tried that, and that's actually rather helpful to get up in the morning and have the feeling that you have a little bit left over from the previous day, and it gets you started.
Okay.
Because the uncomfortable feeling is when you just sit there looking at the little cursor thing that blinks. And then I have cats, and so the cats come along and they say, "Hey, play with this." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's play." And any distraction will do. So it's just like you have to keep coming back and sit in the chair. Yeah. Anybody? I'm kind of ignoring this side of the room. Yeah?
Me?
You?
Oh, yeah. Now when I'm reading the book, it's like you're in the same spot all the time. You don't move forward, like in the same circle all the time. Is it supposed to be like that, or it's like, because in some books you like have an issue, and then these two guys or whatever solves the problem, and everybody lives happy afterwards.
Yeah.
So, but this book is like you're in the same spot all the time. Is it supposed to be like that, or?
Yep.
Is that the proposal?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that driving you crazy?
Huh?
Is that irritating?
But it's different, that's why. So, but somehow it's gives my attention to reading it. So
Okay.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. But you're not at the end yet, right?
No.
Yeah, that'll really drive you crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not really my intention to make the readers irritated, but sometimes that's the result of what the story wants to do.
Okay.
Anybody? Yeah?
Did you have a special message with the book that you wanted to, show everybody? A point or something, a point of view.
I mean, you could take both of my books and crunch them down to the idea that it's really important to pay attention. Like in your daily life, moment to moment, things that seem really boring and ordinary are actually quite amazing. People say, well, why do you write about this supernatural science fiction-y stuff? And part of the reason is that when you have something really weird in a book and you combine it with ordinary life, it starts to make the ordinary life look much more interesting. And the books are also, in a lot of ways, about loss. And you guys are all really young. And maybe so far you have already lost some things or some people, or maybe you haven't. But one of the things that happens as you go along and get older is that you kind of start to accumulate losses. And these books are books written by somebody in her late 30s and 40s, and so that's a little bit different point of view. I mean, if I was writing a book when I was 20, it would have been about different stuff. But yeah, mostly the message is, hey, wake up, pay attention. Really, think about your life. You can't do that for too long or it'll make you crazy, but every now and then you just kind of have to become more aware.